doing part activation, part healing, part chats. So it's going to be a mixed bag of things. And so we're going to be talking about timeline shifting, inner child healing, and manifestation. And so if you are on YouTube watching this, I am doing a TikTok live, and so that is whom I am speaking to in the comments. And remember to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification if you want to see more workshops like this. And remember to check out the description down here below for all the ways that we can connect and work with one another. Okay. So for the beginning of this, we're going to do a meditation together. And you don't have to have your eyes closed or laying down. If you want to, that's fine. But this is more about listening and letting it integrate into your energy fields. Okay? So the card that we have today, and if you want to take a screenshot of it, feel free. I always like to say that you can do that because it kind of encapsulates the energy and the things that we've been talking about. So if you're ever feeling like low frequency, or you need a kind of like a jotting reminder, you can go on your phone and take a look at it, and it'll give you back that energy that we encapsulate here today. So we have create your vision, and we love rainbows because they're a sign of prosperity and abundance. We got our follow the yellow brick road over here. This to me is representative of going into a new reality, right? This is us going into the portal, deeper into self, right? Expanding our multi-dimensional magic. And we have our beautiful unicorn friend here. So I'm going to read the intro, and then we're going to talk about, and then we're going to do the meditation together. Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. I appreciate that. Those of y'all watching on YouTube, my friend here sent me a gift. So I appreciate you. Okay. Do what makes your heart sing. You are being nudged forward. And so any of these things that I'm talking about, before I get into this, I like to say this. You want to use your discernment and your intuition. Your body is your best indicator of what your truths and beliefs and values are. Mine might differ from yours, and that is totally okay. Not everybody's truth is our truth. So you listen to your intuition and what is in alignment for you. And then whatever's not, leave that at the door. Okay, here we go. Do what makes your heart sing. You are being nudged forward. Choosing this card suggests you are ready to start on another phase of your life. Before you take a step forward or possibly look for a new direction, your guidance is to open your heart and mind to all possibilities. So we can do that now. We can all take a big grounding breath in through our nose and a clearing breath out through our mouth, opening our mind and our heart space to all possibilities. This is important, so take some time to think about your future. What makes your heart sing? What gives you true satisfaction and fulfillment? Thank you all for sharing the love. What gives you true satisfaction and fulfillment? Reflect on these questions before you commit to the next part of your journey. Ask your unicorn to touch your third eye with its horn of light to enable you to decide exactly where you're going and what you really want to create or accomplish. Consider or write down the attributes you require to bring about your dream. These may be charisma, determination, strength, inner peace, or any number of qualities. As you focus on developing the positive energies you need, your unicorn will light them up in your aura. This will attract a cornucopia of good things to you. Your vibration and that of the planet are rising, and time is speeding up. So be prepared to accelerate your goal with the assistance of your gracious unicorn. Everything is unfolding in divine order. Okay. Anybody resonate with that message? Do you feel like you are kind of in the middle of shifting into this new version of yourself, the more expanded version of you that's tapped into your multidimensional magic? Hello. Good afternoon. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, hey, Annalise. Hey. Always yes. Yes, some of us are constantly timeline shifting on a day-to-day basis. Me included. Yes, we are moving into the 3D and huge step leap spiritually. Absolutely. Yes. Yesterday, I noticed that I'm even walking lighter. Oh, I love that you said that, Annalise. I was on a walk yesterday, and felt the same way. I was like, I feel so light and like airy. The last couple weeks have been kind of dense, if anybody else has been feeling that. But it definitely feels like it's kind of easing up a little bit. I usually feel like a bull in a china shop, and now I feel like I'm floating. Yay. That's the best feeling when you get out of all that dense energy. Okay, so we are going to do the meditation together. And like I said, you can sit or lay down, whatever you're comfortable with. What we want to do is just open up our perceptual awareness, open up our Akashic Records soul contract within this incarnation, and just be ready for new changes on the horizon, okay? So we are all going to, excuse me, we are going to take a big grounding breath in through our nose, and a breath out through our mouth, and a big grounding breath in through our nose, and a clearing breath out through our mouth. Sit quietly and invoke your beautiful unicorn. And if you don't already have a personal unicorn guide, you can call one in. Sense a magnificent, shimmering white horse in front of you. Maybe it's doing a little dancey dance. Okay. Gently reach out your hand to touch it and feel the connection between you. Tell it about your vision with enthusiasm. So your goal, your dream, your aspiration. Or that might be a feeling that you want to feel more of. Your unicorn nods to acknowledge it has heard you. It bends its head and touches your forehead with its horn of light. So you can envision that it's touching you on your third eye. Feel pure unicorn qualities pouring in to support your dream. Picture your next step as if it is already happened. Relax and integrate the energy. So we're envisioning that the thing that we are manifesting has already actualized in our 3D reality paradigm. Thank your unicorn. You give a big hug if you want as well, or a kiss. And our affirmation that I'm going to speak over you is, my unicorn leads me towards my dreams. My unicorn leads me to my dreams. My unicorn leads me to my dreams. And it might serve you to ask your guides to send you a unicorn synchronicity to help further integrate that into your subconscious, right? Like, oh, there's my sign. Okay, and you gotta be open to signs coming to you in a variety of ways. Like I used the example earlier, the other day I asked my guys to send me a buffalo, and my son was like, hey, do you want to come play this video game on my tablet? And I was like, yeah. And so we're sitting there and he was like dropping unicorns like in the field on the thing, and I was like, okay, universe, I see you. So it can come to you many different ways. I love that. My unicorn leads me to my dreams, affirming in the comments. I asked for the synchronicity of a unicorn before you said so. There you go. Nicole is living, breathing proof that it works. All right. So I was taking my dogs to the dog park earlier, and I was doing some journaling, and I wrote this piece for myself, and then I said, you know what? I said it would be fun to speak this over everyone to help them activate or integrate these new timelines that they are shifting into. So I'm gonna read this over you. Like I said, what resonates with you, take that, and what doesn't, that's fine too. But just be open to new possibilities happening for you. I like to say like miracles can happen every day, but even the word miracles to me sometimes is like depowering. because like you can create that for self, right? So just be opening to timeline's working out for you. Okay, so we will all take a big infinity breath in together and breathe out. And I'm going to say these as I am statements. And so you can say them as I am statements as well, and like just fully breathe that in as if they're your own words, okay? So we're going to ask the unicorn realm, the fairy realm, the dragon realm, and the rainbow dimension to help assist us with integrating. And we're going to ask Mother Gaia and Source and our other higher selves from our other incarnations to also help us integrate this activation. And I'm going to put some of my abundance roller on here. Infinity energy is a huge sync for me. Oh, yay! I heard somebody say it earlier, and I was like, oh, I'm going to start saying it. Oh, we already got the syncs working here. Okay, so if you want to accept this activation, all you need to do is say, I accept. You can say it in the chat, you can say it in the comments here on YouTube, or you can say it in your mind. Okay. I am upgrading my energy field, aura, chakra system, light body, DNA, cells, physical vessel, and wealth container. I release all that no longer serves me. I am attracting all good things to me. I am amplifying my abundance template. I am supercharging my priestess template. I am activating my millionaire boss babe status. Releasing generational trauma and vows and karmic lessons I have outgrown. I have stepped into new levels of confidence and awareness. I know I am the creator of my reality, and all things I say, which are in alignment, manifest swiftly and easily, with grace, and are fun, magical, whimsical, and very appreciated. Okay, so how did that feel on a scale from 1 to 10 in your body? 1 being like, oh, it wasn't in alignment with me, or 10, that's me. We're gonna claim that now. This is not something that we are working on. This is our reality, our paradigm. Okay. My head feels all tingly and my heart feels light. Yay, tingles everywhere. Hey, we're feeling 10. I like doing activations like this together because it creates an energy vortex, because we're all holding a similar intention with one another. And so it's gonna amplify it for everyone in here, if you accept it, of course. Okay, so because I drink a lot of water, I'm gonna run to the restroom really quick. So I'm gonna pause the live just for a second, and then I will be right back, okay? And if y'all could share the live, that would be super awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Thank y'all for pausing. I appreciate it. Okay, so when we were talking about opening up to the realms of possibilities, so yesterday I was feeling a lot, or the day before yesterday, I was feeling a lot of stress and anxiety because I'm also timeline shifting. And when you do that, it requires you to step into like the next level of yourself. And even though that's great, we love that, it can be very intimidating and scary and very dense, because you're having to let go of like how you've been doing things, and there's comfortability in that. Especially difficult if you are in a space of life where things are like pretty good. You know, like everything's all right, but you still have to like make that shift to grow and evolve. And so you're like, no, I'm fine with staying right where I'm at. But that gets boring, because life is all about change and evolving. So that means you're gonna have to work through a whole bunch of self-limiting beliefs. Every time we timeline shift, we usually get like smacked in the face with that, because that's like your hurdle to get over to go to the next level. And they're your friend. When you start integrating your self-limiting beliefs and your shadow self, and you start saying like, oh, thank you for showing up, because now I can up level, right? And so anyway, 2 days ago, I was really stressed about that. And then I did some integration work, timeline integration, and the next day I felt much better. What is a timeline shift? Oh, I can explain that. So a timeline shift is when, okay, I wish I had my card with me, but there's a whole bunch of different like realities that could potentially happen for you. Some of them are like negative, some of them are positive, and it's up to you to choose the more positive ones and pull yourself into that new reality, right? But with that comes, you gotta let go of behavioral patterns and triggers and toxic relationships that aren't serving us, and so you're just pulling a more preferable reality to you. But it's up to you whether you step onto that. And I'm gonna explain a little bit more with my pictures over here. It's a little bit more easy to understand. But I'm gonna share this example first. And so I went out on a walk, and I said, you know what? I said, I am so excited to see how the universe sends me abundance today in the form of wealth. And, you know, I'm out on a walk, and I was like, I'm gonna find it while I'm out here, right? Because I'm staying open to the realms of possibilities of things that could happen, but I also wasn't forcing it. I said, if it happens, great. If not, that's fine too, but I'm staying open to that. Okay, so I'm walking around, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to sit in the energetic frequency of abundance and prosperity without it having to do with money, because money is just the frequency of abundance and prosperity and good feelings. And I was like, I can go ahead and start feeling that now before that money even comes in. And so I'm looking around in my environment and saying like, oh, there's an abundance of all these beautiful flowers, and they make me feel happy. It's a nice, warm, sunny day. That's amazing. You know, just like really fully being present and grateful and thankful. And so I come up to the end of my walk, didn't find any money. And I was like, that's totally okay, because what I got out of this experience was the exact same feeling that I want my wealth to feel like anyway. Okay. Then I walk up to this library book box thing that they have. It's like a stand, and you can like open it up, and people put donations of boxes in there, or not donations of boxes, donations of books, and then you can just take one, right? It's like an exchange. And I was like, okay, intuition, I hear you telling me to walk over to this box. And so I walk over to it, and then I open it up, and then I found this $1 million piece of paper. And I was like, okay, universe, that's very funny. And what's even funnier is that in that same morning, I did a meditation with my inner kids, and we went to like the rainbow dimension, and we were hanging out with like fairies and unicorns and dragons and stuff. There was this leprechaun in my meditation. I don't usually have meditations with leprechauns, because I'll be honest with you, like, I have a little fear of leprechauns. Like, I don't know where that comes from, but like since childhood, maybe it was like a past life thing. But this one we met with was like super nice. And so when I saw this, I was like, okay, this is for me, my inner children. And so we have two options here with us. This is, we can say, oh, well, this isn't real money and just like whatever. Okay. Or you can take this as a sign from your guides, like, hey, we got you. Like, because I sat in gratitude and thankfulness and realized like how abundant and prosperous I already was, I opened up my channels and my perceivability in the realm of possibilities, right? And then I found this. And these things turn into your actual manifestations, right? But sometimes they'll send you these micro ones and be like, what are you gonna do with that? Are you gonna be excited? Are you gonna be grateful? Are you gonna take it as like a positive thing, right? And not kind of just like chunk it. When you start making note of the synchronicities that the universe is sending you and the signs, they start to ramp up. They start to come like tenfold to you. And every time you do that, you're kind of like proving to your subconscious, like, oh, like this can really happen for me, right? Like it's a layer-roll thing. So my son and I pick him up and take him to Chick-fil-A. And because I was like already in that forward movement of positively manifesting, I got this card in my Chick-fil-A bag. And it says, you brighten my day. And then on the back it says, you are enough, never change. And I was like, oh my gosh. How incredibly fun. And then I had like a couple other things roll in after that too. So it's really about taking note of where you are already prosperous and abundant throughout your day, like finding pockets of that, because when you're timeline shifting again, you have all these like fears and doubts and worries that come up. Hey Allie, these fears and these doubts and these worries that come up that kind of like try and throw you off track, right? So if we can find pockets throughout the day of like, where am I already prosperous and abundant? So like, let's share one right now, like today. What is something today that brought you a good feeling? Share it in the comments, or you can share it on YouTube. I love that so much. Yeah, abundance is beautiful. It is. And then it's like super fun and magical, whimsical, like when you are staying open to those things. So if you want to share in the comments something like, is it a cup of coffee? Is it like your cup of coffee made you happy? Did you see some beautiful flowers today? What is that for you? I am abundant in beautiful spiritual friendships and connections. Love that. You finding sage brightens my day. You're so sweet. My cats, my coffee, and going outside. Beautiful. I braved to go to the dentist. Great. Congratulations. I used to be really scared of the dentist when I was a kid. Yes, mine too. I just woke up after 10. Okay, good sleep. That's great. Okay, so what are those emotions that are being elicited? Like what are those things bringing you feelings of? My morning gratitude meditation always makes me happy. Love that. Hello. So what feeling is that bringing you, that pocket that you found today? So when we find these pockets, we need, oh, my daughter's face, that's so sweet. We need to tell the universe, this is what I want my manifestation to feel like. This right now. Because when you do that, you're saying, I'm so grateful for this manifestation that I'm experiencing right this second. And then you're giving direct community or direct guidance to the universe of like what frequency you want more of, right? A lot of us are extremely powerful manifestors, and if we are focusing on stress and anxiety and chaos and fear, you will get more of that. Okay? And I'm not saying it's like life is like easy peasy lemon squeezy all the time, but if you can find these pockets throughout the day, it shifts your frequency channel like very quickly. You cannot feel grateful at the same time that you're feeling fearful. They're two opposite frequencies. So we got to like get out of our headspace, and so like pulling from past narratives or what's going to happen in the future, and be more present in the abundance and prosperity we already have. And then we start the forward momentum, right? Oh, that was very helpful. Thank you. Okay, good. Like yesterday, I need some air in my tire. And I stopped and, like I'm squatting down, like putting the air in. And this gentleman drives by, and he was like, hey ma'am. He was like, hold on one second. Okay. Oh, thank you, Carrie. I appreciate that. This man was driving by, and he rolled down his window. He was like, ma'am, he was like, are you okay? He was like, do you need help? You got it? And I was like, oh, you're so sweet, like, thank you. That's so nice. Like, and I could tell he like genuinely wanted to make sure I was all right and like help. And I was like, I hope you have a super blessed day. I was like, you are so sweet for stopping. And as soon as I got back in the car, I told the universe, that's what I want my manifestation, the thing I'm working on, that's what I want it to feel like. I want it to feel like I'm always supported and that the universe is looking out for me. Okay. And then it comes easily to me because I didn't ask that man to come over, he just came over. So that's what I mean by like finding these pockets and then attaching them to your manifestations, because we all know how like, I'll explain this. I sometimes forget, like, not everybody's like super deep into psychology stuff. So we all are PTSD. Okay, when you experience trauma and PTSD moments, what happens is you're attaching a memory to an emotion, and so when you experience that emotion, it kind of snaps you back into that consciousness and that memory. So we want to do that similarly with our manifestations, but with good feelings, right? Every time we create an anchor point like this, it's something that we can go back to with a self-limiting belief and be like, no, that's not true because of this. So like for me, if I, have a self-limiting belief that comes out that says like, universe, I feel like you're not supporting me, right? I now can go back to these things that happened, or that man that tried to help me with my car, and they turn into new ones constantly because I've shifted my frequency over into like more gratitude and prosperity and abundance. And so I just keep on making more anchor points with my consciousness, creating more memories attached to emotions, right? I love this. You bring such a good light or lifting energy. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. See? Like reflecting back, and when I was at that gas station too, this older man was there and he was like, I love your hair, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, sir. Right? And I take that as prosperity and abundance like into my heart space, and I'm like, thank you, universe, this is what I want my manifestation to feel like I'm being hyped up. Okay, so find your pockets throughout the day. Okay, so we're gonna talk a little more about timeline shifting. I want to show you all this picture in case it helps. Okay. Do you do readings? I do readings. I'm not doing them in this live necessarily, but I do readings. I do energy healing sessions. I have coaching programs. All the stuff's up in my bio or down in the description here. Okay. So, oh yes. Okay. So, can y'all see this? Okay. This is your life, okay? This is when we're born down here, and this is you at the end. This is this incarnation, okay? Because if you are, on the reincarnation train, there's one of these in every single incarnation, okay? Do you do private ones or just over live? I do private ones as well. Those are way more in depth. Okay, but all the information's up there. You can send me a message or email me if you want. Okay. Also, I want to say, just in case you pop out, individual sessions are different than readings that I do. They're like trauma healing, or helping you with goal setting or timeline shifting, or help you with like, reprogramming your subconscious. So they're a little more in depth than like a reading, if that makes sense. Okay, so this is you when you're born, and this is you at the end of the incarnation. These are all the different higher self versions of you. Okay, oh, thank y'all for hyping me up in the comments. These are all the different higher self versions of you. Okay, so this is you as a kid. This is you right now. Okay, now I know I only have like 8 of these, but there's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I don't have pages. So we're just gonna do this. So this is you in this moment in time right now. Okay, this is your next higher self. And I'm gonna explain higher self too, just in case there's some questions. So I want you to envision that you are climbing up a mountain. Okay, So your highest self, that before you came here on this incarnation, you created like a map of all the things that you were going to experience, all the people that you were going to meet, right? All the karmic lessons you were going to learn so you can grow and evolve, come back to your multidimensionality, heal all that trauma stuff. Okay. That one's at the tippy top. I didn't mean to pick this to match with the chat, but it's working out great. Okay, so that's you. Now you start life down here, down at the bottom. You are working your way up this mountain, getting to the end. You are going through all these trees and creeks and rocks and all this stuff. You are immersed inside the mountain life. You can't see the top of the mountain because of all the things in the way. And all the things in the way are your life experiences, okay? And lessons and people and all this stuff. All these higher selves in between you, though, they can see the next step. Like, this is your next highest self. They don't know what's necessarily going on all the way up here, but they know what's going on in the next leg of your journey, like the next 6 months, the next year, whenever you have like a big consciousness shift. Has anybody experienced that before, where like you all of a sudden have like this profound like consciousness expanding, and you're like, oh dang, and then you start interacting with your reality completely differently. Maybe you let go of some like behavioral pattern that has been like really like gotten you in the grips, or like a toxic relationship you've had a real hard time letting go of. That's you shifting into your new higher self. Okay, so when we are moving into this next step, we are pulling future us to where we are at right now. Okay, the problem, I don't even call it a problem. Yes, it's happened. I recently had a huge epiphany. Yeah, you probably shifted into a new version of yourself. Excuse me, I just like dripped water everywhere. Okay, the issue that most people have when they're trying to timeline shift or quantum jump to a new reality, like a preferable reality, is that you are pulling on past experiences to predict your future, so you get stuck. So this is all the behavioral patterns and triggers and trauma that has not been healed yet, okay? And when we are pulling from that state of being, then we have the exact same future. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so I'm going to explain, I'll give an example. So let's say that you are or grew up with a lot of lack mentality and self-limiting beliefs around money, okay? Now you're here and you're making $2,000 a month, okay? And you don't seem to be able to move forward, okay? Are you okay, Daisy? Okay, sorry, we talk. Okay, you don't seem to be able to move forward. That's probably because you're having the narrative running of like, oh, if I'm wealthy, then that I'm going to be evil, or the only way that I can get money is through my job, or rich people are evil, right? Or maybe you have religious programming that's telling you it's not good to have a whole bunch of money. Like, that's one I had to deprogram. And so you're going to have a hard time pulling in a more abundant and prosperous life if you haven't cleared out the past narratives. And so the programming you might be running is, I made $2,000 last month, so that means I'm going to make $2,000 next month. Okay, that's true. That's reality. But if you're not open to the possibility of something else happening, then you'll just stay stuck there, right? That's the things I talk about with like opening and expanding your wealth container and like what's possible for you. That is how I shifted to a new income level several times. It's saying like, I'm not going to pull from this past stuff, but I also had to actively work on the trauma and the self-limiting beliefs. Because if you want to shift over here, right, what are you manifesting right now, right? Like, think about it. It is going to be more effective for you to talk down to your younger versions and help them heal. because they are the ones that actually have to be released from those narratives and beliefs in order for you to shift. Because sometimes we're so like forward thinking, like, oh, I want this to come in. You can't bring it in until you heal these littler versions, past versions of you. I'll be right back. My puppy over here, she having a sinus attack. Hold on. Okay, thank you for holding. It's super pollinated where I am. Some of my dogs are going through it. Okay, good. I don't know if I'm crazy for talking to the past versions, but I'm assuming no. That's how I've shifted. How I've made a major shifts in my life is by realizing I have to become the mentor, the teacher, and the healer to the versions of myself that are still living in behavioral patterns and triggers that aren't serving us, right? And so your inner children, this is why inner child healing, what I talk about, is so important, is because that is where you are programmed, and other people's projections and trauma were like placed onto you, all these like filter lenses, right? Because you weren't born that way. Like, a baby doesn't have people-pleasing tendencies or like perfectionism tendencies or abandonment wounds or trust wounds. And there is something to be said for like past life, stuff that's happened to you, or like generational trauma that comes down through your DNA line or ancestral lines. But like for the most part, you are programmed and like taught those things. And so it's much more effective to heal them. So when you start talking to the past version, like, you have to pretend like you are already your higher self, okay? You have to act like this version already, and then talk down to you in the present and the other versions backwards, okay? So this is what I do. So when I'm going through a timeline shift, I kind of separate myself from me. Like, I'm higher self Sage, okay, and I'm talking to me in the present right now, and I am thinking, what behavioral patterns and emotions do I, this higher self Sage that's manifestation has already come through, how is she acting? How is she showing up? How is she talking to herself? What is she doing for inspired action steps? Is she trusting herself and trusting the universe? Okay, so that when present Sage over here is freaking out, okay, because there's safety and comfortability. Like, it is terrifying timeline shifting sometimes, because you are having to literally become like a whole new person, okay, and we don't know what that looks like, especially if you're letting go of behavioral patterns and triggers, even if they're negative, like stress and chaos and anxiety. If that's how you've been operating this whole time, there's still safety in being that way, because at least you know what the result and the outcome is going to be. Okay, so when present Sage okay, is having a nervous attack and saying like, oh my god, what's happening, that's your ego, your human ego, I come in and I talk to her and I was like, listen, I love you so much, and I'm so incredibly appreciative that you are concerned about our safety and our well-being, and you're concerned about our inner children inside, because they dealt with huge abandonment wounds, trust wounds. But those things, those fears and anxieties and worries, are not going to serve us in the future. And if we want to all journey forward together, you're gonna have to trust me just like you always have, that we're going to work it out and we're going to be okay. But you have to let me become the higher self. Like, you literally have to talk to present you like they're a child. And I don't mean like a, you know, like in a domineering type of way or like a dismissive way, but you are trying to pull away from them, and you're going to bring them with you. That's another thing I see with clients when I go in. Their versions that they're trying to let go of, or they're like, please don't do that because you're trying to leave me behind. And then it starts stirring up all these like abandonment and trust wounds, especially if you have been hurt, you know, in your formative years, younger years. And I always reiterate to them, like, we're not leaving you anywhere. Like, we're all going to a better life together. All the inner kids, all the past versions, like, we're about to upgrade with one another, okay? But what you have to do is you have to step outside of your present experience and step into the realm of possibilities. Would that be considered an ego death? I would kind of say like an ego death, but that term sometimes, like, I would say more just like ego releasing, right? Because when we say death and things like that, when you start getting into past version healing and inner child healing, how scary is that to hear for a child? Your inner children and your past versions are always listening to you. So it's very, don't start barking, Mr. Pugs. Don't do it. I gotta move Mr. Pugs. Hold on, he about to go off with his dog barking over here. Hold on. Okay, so I used to say ego death when I first started, you know, on my journey, and like there's nothing wrong with that, but when you start getting into inner child healing and past version healing and doing this type of work, like I said, they're always listening. Like, once you make that connection that they're in there and you start doing those things with them, like words like death are going to be very scary and bring up like abandonment and trust things, which we're trying to do the opposite and teach them, like, hey, we're going to go through this process multiple times. Every time we go through one and you trust me, like, we deepen that trust within self and build our confidence and self-esteem. Every time that I go to timeline shift, I go through the exact same process. The exact same one. And I've gotten better at like catching it and being like, oh, okay, we're in that frequency where we're gonna have to let go, but not let go of them, let go of the old paradigm, right? The old ways of doing things, so we can all move forward together. But you want to reiterate with them, I'm not letting go of you, we are all shifting forward together. Okay, we're all going up the ladder. Okay, so when you release trauma energy from childhood and past versions over here, what happens is this version of you shifts up the ladder, this version, this past version, shifts up the ladder, and this version shifts up the ladder, and so forth. Okay, and so there are, like, the past version, when you timeline shift, that you just shifted from becomes the higher self and teacher and mentor to those younger versions, and they will be in there doing work as well. Like, it becomes an internal family system. Like, I am currently helping Sage, that I just pulled away from that past version. Like, that was a big integration thing for me the other day. Okay, because you can have one foot in one and then one foot in the other, and y'all be doing this tug of war with one another. Now she is in there helping with the things I'm teaching her. She's like passing it on down to my inner kids. Other versions of my inner kids are helping other inner children with things, because when you have inner kids within you that are like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, it's going to better serve them to heal with a version that's closer to them, right? Because they're closer in consciousness. Like, if I'm trying to talk to 2-year-old me, 3, 4, 5-year-old me, sometimes it's going like over their head, like the things that I'm saying, because I'm so much more further down my journey. And so I'll bring like past versions of me that are younger, that makes sense, to talk to the inner kids. Let me get some water here. So you have any questions about this? These are all happening all at one time too. There's no past, present, or future. Like, all those things that happened in the past did happen, and all the things that are in the future that are going to happen for you are going to happen, but you're only in the present. Like, the present is the only thing that's happening in, like, quote unquote real time. And so that's why if you're pulling on past narratives, you're going to keep getting stuck in these cycles because you're predicting your future that way. You have to be more open to anything and everything happening, right? That's how you shift forward. Okay. Yes, thank you for giving me another word because it doesn't resonate well. Oh, I did not mean to send that invite, my bad. I think it went to Sam. You can ignore that. Okay. But yeah, we're trying to instill trust with our inner kids. Like, hey, everything's gonna be okay. With that past version, we got you. Oh, Sam said it, got you. Okay. So, does anybody have any questions about this process? The next thing that we want to do as well is we're healing all of these versions here. Okay, we're healing past versions, inner children, so they release us from the behavioral patterns and triggers and trauma so that we can slingshot forward. You were just making sure I was present. So that we can slingshot forward. You need to know who this person is. Like that next higher self. Because if you don't have any inclination of what you are moving forward into, you will not shift. Like I'm not saying that you have to know everything in like specific details, but you have to be able to embody this person. Like when I was talking about the example of me talking to Sage in the present as a future me, what does the person look like? Maybe they have, I mean intrinsically look like, but they can externally look different too. Like I used to have like long blonde hair, okay, which is fine, but I envisioned that I look like I do right now, like for my higher self on a physical trait, right? I was like, oh, I'm gonna have like a semi-mullet situation with like colored hair. And that was like way before that actually happened. And when I was in that consciousness, I was like, I don't know if I'll ever be able to get to there, but I just kept envisioning her, and then it became a reality. But more so with like intrinsic values. What emotions do they feel? What behaviors do they exhibit? What goals are they working on? Right? Who is what do you want your higher self to be? Who do you want to be? You need to have a clear picture of that. The clearer the picture, the easier it is to shift. Because now you can talk to the past versions of the inner children and say like, that is not a vibrational match, a frequency match. Like those behavioral patterns and those toxic people in our life and us playing small and not showing up and going to Now you become the teacher or mentor. It's much easier to take care of somebody else than yourself. I'll be real honest with you. Okay? And so if you have this whole cohort down here of inner children and past versions to be like, listen, we can't be doing these things if we want to move forward. Okay? What ends up happening is you actually like shift yourself up out of your present experience. Right? It all works in tandem. You know how like if you want to learn something, teaching somebody else is a great way to integrate that for self and shift you into a new consciousness. Right? Like I do like workshops and lives. Every time I host one, it like reiterates that in my subconscious, in my paradigm. It helps other people too, but it's also for me, and it helps me, move forward from the stuff from the past. Okay. So who is this person? What attributes, right? If you want a free guide to figure out who that is, I put one together. There's a link in my bio, or there's a link down here. It says free guide, how to timeline shift. And it's a lot of like self-discovery questions. It's what emotions do I want to feel? What do I want to release? And it has a whole bunch of different spaces for goals that you want to work on. We need to dream bigger. Okay, you need to be more forward thinking. Like, some of us are playing very small in our lives and like what we're capable of. The way that timeline shifting works, if you have a desire for something, it's because you're perceiving a timeline where that thing has already happened. Like, there's a concurrently running timeline because every decision has like a split off. Like, you make a decision, well, now there's a version of you out in the etheric field in your Akashic records that went this way and you went this way. It's in your realm of capability to have. It's aligning with that timeline. So if you dream really small, then you're going to have a smaller reality, smaller life, a smaller container space. If you dream really big and you keep working towards those things, you can make them happen. Your desires are there because it's in your realm of capability. It's already happened. Right? It's just shifting your frequency over. So we got to dream bigger. Okay? So it's very important to have short-term goals and long-term goals. The short-term goals give you momentary wins and successes that give you the fuel to keep going towards the bigger one. And the bigger one helps you, like with your smaller shifts, figure out, is this in alignment to get there? Is this in alignment? Do I need to pivot? Do I need to reassess? And it can shift and change. But you need to have like, this is me in a year. This is what I'm going to accomplish. And even if you don't accomplish all the things, like if you fill out that guide and you don't fulfill all of them, that's fine, because forward movement is forward movement. Like, it's much better, let's say you are working on your money, okay, and you make a goal of, I'm going to make $100,000 next year, and then my big goal is to make $2 million. If you try and jump to $2 million and you're not even making like $10,000, your subconscious is not going to believe that you're going to be able to get up here. So you want to make a smaller short-term goal of, okay, well, I'm going to make $10,000 a month, or I'm going to make $100,000 next year, and work on that one while you're working towards the bigger one, right? That's why it's important to have both, because then you can start proving to yourself along the way, like, oh yeah, I can do this. And so there's different ones on there, like travel, finances. What do you want your romantic relationship to look like if you already have one or want to bring one in? What do you want your hobbies and interests to look like? You know, we're really creating an avatar. Like, you're the creator of your reality and self. Like, whom do you want to be? Right? It's like a Sims situation. But you don't have to download the free guide. You can do it yourself. But we need to have, who am I going to be in a year? Okay, it is free. It's a free guide that you can print, or you can get the questions from and do it in your journal. So we need to have our year goals. Okay, you can make a lot of progress and shifts in a year. Like, shocking. Okay, because if you are working on this past version healing and timeline shifting and quantum shifting life, okay, time doesn't work linearly. Something that you think would take you 10 years, you can bring in very rapidly. Okay. Oh yes, okay. You can bring it very rapidly. But then we also need to have longer term goals. Like the $10,000 now, we need to have like $100,000, $1 million up here for the long term one. Or like if you have, like if you're in a job that you don't really like right now, maybe our year goal is getting into something that's more preferable and that brings us a lot of like joy and enthusiasm. But then like our longer term one is running our own business. Okay, it's going to be difficult for you to get to running your own business if you're in a job that is sucking the life out of you and is causing like chaos and anxiety and all this stuff, and you're so burnt out you can't work on your business. You see, there's like these intermediary steps that you have to take to get to these things. Sometimes I talk to clients and they're so like hyper focused on the big ones, and I'm like, okay, well, what can you do today? And they're like, I have no idea. And I was like, because you're looking too macro. And you are getting burnt out and overwhelmed before you even start. What are the smaller ones that you can take right this second? Who are you in a year? Who are you 2 years from now? I would suggest doing a year, because anything past that is going to be overwhelming. Okay, so sit down with yourself. What are some small goals to the bigger ones that I want to get to? And like I said, it's okay if you shift them. Like, I was going to go to school to be a clinical psychologist, and then I got, into it. And after undergraduate, I was like, I don't think that's in alignment anymore. I was like, I don't want to sit in an office, which is nothing wrong with therapy. It's not as like relaxed as being like a spiritual coach and an energy healer, because there's just like certain things that I could like say and talk about because it's not as like regulated, you know what I mean? So that was my big goal, and I said, okay, I don't know what I'm gonna do up here. Okay, maybe I want to be a coach, but I was like, that is so far away from where I'm at right now. Okay, I had a whole bunch of other jobs like in between that time, and I said, okay, what can I do right now? What's a smaller goal? Take my first client, do more research on like psychology and coaching, figure out how to do the logistical sides of a business, learn what marketing is, start making TikToks. Okay, so these smaller ones, once you accomplish them, you're like, dang, I'm so successful, I can do anything. Then that gives you the fuel to keep going towards the big one. And when you have a big one, you need to realize, like, if you want to do that, whatever that is for you, whatever you want to bring in, you have to make it a reality, not a dream. Like, you cannot let anything stop you or hinder you. Like, when I was like, I'm going to be a life coach, that is the only thing that I was like hyper focused on. I was like, I am going to make this happen. It's not an if, it is I'm going to do that. Right? And you got to claim it right now. Like, before I even had my first client, I said, I'm a coach. Like, when people ask me what I did, I said, I'm a life coach. And that was terrifying, because I was like, imposter syndrome, and like, they're gonna know I don't have clients yet. You gotta pull that reality into yourself by claiming it right now. Like, you want to be a writer right now. You want to be a business owner, be a business owner right now. Because, like, when does a business even start? Like, what precipice point is a business? Like, is it on conception? Is it when you have a website? Is it when you have your first client? Is it when you sell your first product? Is it when you make $1 million? Like, there's no like set container space for when that is a real thing in your reality. Or like being a writer. Like, do you have to write your first piece? Do you have to publish it? Do you have to get in a magazine? Do you have to write a book? Do you have to be interviewed? You know what I mean? Like, you decide when your reality is true for you. Some people might think that is being like facadal. It's not if you are conceptualizing as, I'm gonna make this happen. Because you're working through the etheric quantum field now. You got to be it before you see it. Like, that's how manifesting works. Like, you have to feel the feelings and emotions before that thing will come through the etheric field in your like present reality, right? Yeah, imposter syndrome is a tough one to work through. up under imposter syndrome is like a whole bunch of other wounds. Like when I was working through that, there was like abandonment up under there, you know, like there's a whole other assortment of things. And so that's why it's sometimes difficult to like delayer that one. Okay, I'm gonna check the chat here. Oop. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about timeline shifting or higher self connection or goal setting or anything like that? Okay, and if you're on YouTube too, you can leave them in the comments down here and I will answer them. Okay. I'll do some cleansing and clearing here too. And you can bring your inner kids into the mix too, and like your past versions, and say like, what are things that we wanted when we were younger, but all of this like adult life and stressors and everything made us put on these filter lenses and say like this and that is not possible for us. Like connecting with them also helps you connect back to that very base source of your magic and like what is actually like possible for you, because inner children are like so connected to creativity and magic, and they don't look through those lenses that we have. And when you heal with them and connect with them, they will like really help you open up and expand, not only with like what's possible, but like your spiritual gifts, your connection with Mother Gaia, your connection with Source, right? I was about to ask if this would be on your YouTube. Yes, this will be up on my YouTube channel. I feel like, and it's Soul Harmony Magic. I feel like I'm mid-shift today, but I feel like I keep doing the same shift over and over again. That's what I was referring to earlier when you're trying to get here to the new version, but you're like stuck. It's probably because you need to talk to past version you or the inner children. Oh, I'm gonna give you all an example. Okay. That happened to me. It was really funny. So I'm opening up and expanding my wealth container. I'm always doing that, but I'm like very like intentionally like hunkering down on that right now. Just something like in my work field. And so I want to make this certain amount of money a month. Okay, but I'm having issues, or I was having issues moving forward. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to make time and I'm going to sit down with my higher self, like the next sage that's already making that money. And I'm going to ask her what I should do. Okay. And so I sat down and I said, future higher self meeting, what do I need to do? What do I need to heal? What do I need to release? And she said, how about you go talk to your inner child instead? She said, that's going to be way more beneficial. And I said, you right. He said, because those generational trauma and the wounds are coming from childhood. So like, I'm not going to be able to move forward unless I heal the root of it. Okay, so I'm sitting, yeah, you right. So I'm sitting in meditation, and my 8-year-old version, that is when I had like a whole bunch of like abandonment stuff, like wounds and trust and like money programming stuff like around that time. And so I asked her to come and talk to me. And I was like, what's going on? Why are we so stressed and anxious about our finances? And she was like, I feel like I always have to do more or be more or work super hard, improve myself. And I was like, who are you trying to prove to? And she was like, I have to prove myself for money. I have to be a certain level of good. And I was like, okay. I was like, we need to take a look at that. And so I'm talking to her and I said, I want to introduce you to money, like as your friend, like a consciousness form. And she was like, okay. And so I told her to close her eyes, and I handed her a mirror, and I said, okay, open them. And she looks in the mirror, and I said, that's money. And she was like, no, that's just me. And I was like, yeah. I said, you are money. I said, you are made of the exact same energy. I said, we all come from, Source. there's no difference between you and like the energy of like a dog or money or like this crystal. I said, it's all one and the same. I said, do you have to prove to yourself for you to show up? Like, do you have to prove yourself to yourself to see yourself? And she was like, no. And I said, yeah. I said, do you have to be a certain level of good to be yourself? And she said, no. And I said, exactly. I said, oh, thank you for that heart. I appreciate that. All of these, there's no sense of like, you were just prosperous and abundant. Like, that's your homeostasis point. Like, there's no deserving. Like, that, even that affirmation that says, I deserve prosperity and abundance, take that out. Take it out. Because that is saying that you have to, like, earn something. I am prosperous and abundant for existing. All those filter lenses and trauma and all that stuff make you think that you have to do certain things or be certain things to be happy and be prosperous and abundant. I said, good feelings bring us more good things. And she said, okay, well, what if I start feeling icky and yucky and bad? That means I'm gonna not be able to bring it in. I was like, no, it's perfectly fine that you feel those things. That's part of being like human, and it's contrast that we experience. I was like, if you start feeling bad feelings, do you disappear? And she was like, no. And I said, exactly. I said, energy doesn't just disappear because you're feeling bad. I said, now if we focus on good feelings, then it brings us more of that, right? But you're not going to just disappear. Money's not going to just disappear. It's all of those like behavioral patterns and wounds that we have around it that make us think that. And so when I said that to her, something like clicked. I was like, yeah. I said, you were the exact same thing as money, prosperity, and abundance. I learned that when we feel those things, it's time to give my body self-care. Yeah, your emotions are just like trying to tell you things. They're trying to tell you when something's off. When you need to take better care of yourself. Like when something, you're ignoring your intuition and red flags. Like, or we're not holding boundaries, or we are in toxic relationships, like, or we have trauma that hasn't been healed. Like those heavier, denser feelings are an alert system, right? Okay, so hopefully that example helps with the money and wealth, but not just like, we get so like caught up in like money equaling prosperity and abundance, which that's one form. It's more about the feelings. Like anything can bring you those feelings if you sit in gratitude and thankfulness and you're present. Like somebody buying you a cup of coffee and that feeling of like elated joy and happiness and excitement, that's the same thing that you want the other manifestations to bring you to. Well, if you can go ahead and sit in that with your coffee and make a mental note of that and say, this is what I want my manifestations to feel like, the universe is like, gotcha. And then it starts bringing you more things that give you that feeling. It's like the universe works like an algorithm. So what you put in is what you get out, and vice versa. If you're on TikTok or Instagram and you're just watching a whole bunch of sad videos, your frequency is going to shift over into sadness, and now we're picking up forward momentum and speed in that emotion. You have to frequency shift throughout your day in those pockets. Like, oh, self-limiting beliefs, oh no, right? Negativity. Find a pocket of happiness, sit in gratitude and thankfulness, and say, okay, universe, this is what I want all of my manifestations to feel like. And now we switched over, and like, now the day starts picking up and we have more positivity coming in and we feel better. Right? Well, I love that. It does work like an algorithm. It's like when you see a yellow car and then you just start seeing yellow cars everywhere. It's because your subconscious like picked up on that, and it starts bringing you examples of that reality. Right? What you focus your attention and energy on is what you get more of. So you can start curating and cultivating your life that way. Like if I'm watching a whole bunch of drama, which I used to be all about some drama. I used to love drama. I wondered why I had so much drama in my interpersonal relationships and in my job, because my lenses are looking for that. Or like when I was like really deep down into some lack mentality and like really struggling, I was watching people talking about being broke all the time and how there's no money and money's evil and like all stuff. And like, oh, couldn't be me, you know, like, and of course that's what got reflected in my outer reality. Okay. Another thing is whatever you are watching, consuming, interacting with, ask yourself, if there was a child outside of me, would I want them learning from that? Would I want them interacting in that relationship? Would I let the toxic person in my life around a child like that? Because that's what you're doing with your inner children, because you're ultimately trying to heal their wounds and behavioral patterns. So you have to be their guardian. Okay, like when I started holding boundaries, that was tough. People in my life, like, it was a tough lesson. But I kept on saying, like, what am I going to do for my inner child? Am I going to continue being in that behavioral pattern, or I'm going to be like, no, you're not going to talk to them that way. You're not going to talk to us that way. Sometimes you got to hold boundaries with yourself too. Your own self-limiting beliefs and what have you. But again, self-limiting beliefs are a friend. Like, they're how we grow and evolve and shift. So like, you got to make time for your self-limiting beliefs and fear, because if you don't, it will consume you. I shared in my group coaching thing the other day that like, you got to make time. So I'll sit down and I'll be like, okay, inner kids and past versions, I want you to tell me every single self-limiting belief we're having right now, and I want you to tell me the worst possible thing that could happen. Like, let's just run through it all. And when they express that, they feel so much better, because they've just been having all this chaos, anxiety building up. That's when we start catastrophizing. And so when they're able to express that, they feel seen, heard, and validated. And now we're coming from like a blank space state. And I say, okay, great. Thank you. I totally get that, and you're valid. And thank you for trying to protect us, because shifting is scary and being outside of your comfortability zone is scary. Now, let's think of the best case scenarios that could happen. I want you to think of the best thing that could, like, we're not going to put any, like, fear paradigms over it. Like, yeah, we could find $1 million in a duffel bag today. Sure. We could meet with the right person today that helps us with that opportunity. Sure. Like, the best thing. Okay. Then when they sit in that, after you've cleared all that self-limiting belief, chaos, anxiety, what ifs, they're like, oh my God, that would be so much fun. That would be awesome. You're shifting your frequency over. Now we're headed towards positivity. And they're like, oh yeah, what if that had happened? That would be cool. Right? And the more you do that, the easier that exercise gets, because they start to realize, like, just because they're having negative feelings doesn't mean that they have to stuff them down or that you don't care, because they are real and valid to them. But that doesn't mean that they have to be their future reality. You are there to validate and love, but then you're there to help alchemize and shift them out of those old consciousness forms that are not serving you or them. So you really gotta take on that guardianship role. Like, sometimes my inner kids are like freaking out inside, and I have to make time for them and sit down and talk about these things and alchemize and transmute and help them expand their consciousness, because you got inner kids in you that are in there hurting, and it's up to us to go back and help them heal, and then you all move forward into a different life, right? But if you want to shift into the new higher self, again, who is that? And you shift into that person by helping the younger versions of you, because they're the ones that got the behavioral patterns and triggers that are keeping you from shifting. Okay. Being a teacher is a great way to learn and shift. you teach the younger versions. Even if you don't believe it yet, okay, like, you teaching them helps you believe it. Love that. My new affirmation is I won't cap the universe, bring on bigger and better. Love it. Okay, so if you resonated with the things that I was saying, you like my vibe and my energy, thank you. And if you want to work together one-on-one, I have a whole bunch of different ways we can do that up in my bio or down in the description here. I have a 12-week mentorship program. It's called Shine Your Light, and this is where we do Akashic level healing throughout all the weeks together. This is a one-on-one mentorship program. And then I also have individual sessions. They're called soul alignment sessions. So this is if you need some help traversing into the next timeline. You need help letting go of some self-limiting beliefs or inner child healing, or getting a clearer picture of what that higher self looks like, or what goals that you need to set in order to shift on over. There's also a multi-dimensional magic course, and that is 6 hours of content, and I talk about all of these things like really in depth. How to heal your money mindset, open your wealth container. Oh, look at this little how to open up and expand your wealth container, heal your inner children, process your emotions, work inside your Akashic records, view your soul contract, like all of these deeper concepts, right? The ones that we need to shift. And then I have that free guide. I know that was super cute. And then I have the free timeline shifting guide. So this is if you want to start this work on your own and get a clearer picture of higher self you, right? And it's a printable guide that you can print out. And there's a video where I explain a little bit more as well on these concepts, so you have a better picture. Okay. Well, I hope everyone has a magical day. Thank you for coming to this space. I'm always very appreciative and grateful of the work that you are doing, because I know that I'm the one talking on this end, but I appreciate everyone's feedback and communication, and I like that's super awesome. Thank y'all for all the hype. I appreciate that, but it's also like you're doing just as much here as I am. Like, this is how we are. Oh, thank you for the cat paws. So super cute. Thank you, Kimberly. Oh, hey, Kimberly. Hey, you're doing just as much, because like I said, when we come together in these spaces, we can create energy vortexes, and it's amplifying. And then when you shift things in here, you're going out into the collective and having different experiences. Everybody's having different experiences with you when you heal. Like, sometimes we're like, so like, oh my God, I gotta help the collective and new earth and all this stuff. You focus on you. Okay, because when you focus on you, you shift, everything around you shifts, because you're coming from a more healed and unity consciousness and loving place. You don't have to take on everything, okay? Because we're all reflections of one another. You heal you in your paradigm, it heals the whole paradigm, right? Okay, all right. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm very grateful for everybody. And again, all my information's in my bio or down here in the description. Remember to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification, and I will see you all next time. Bye.